Don't speak.
Okay. I'm going to talk about three things. First of all, how is Trump perceived in the media? Secondly, why under status quo Trump is just likely to lose and they flip it around? Thirdly, how is it going to affect swing voters specifically? Before that, 2 points of extraneous rebuttal. First of all, Joe Biden isn't the only candidate in the Democratic election. Come on, he's leading by 20% over other candidates. Bernie and Sanders and Warren are dividing the vote between the progressive, and neither of them is likely to give up their only chance to a presidency in the near future. So we just think it is really likely he wins. But even if not, still a lot of Democrats seem much more corrupt than what they are when they are defending Biden, when they're defending all of these acts. Secondly, Nancy Pelosi has decided, and Nancy Pelosi is the voice of truth. Yeah, because no politician has ever been mistaken in any situation. Okay, that's ridiculous. Let's talk about how Trump is perceived in the media. Because here's the thing. First of all, Trump has tens of millions of followers on Twitter. Right? People listening to him specifically and directly, and they're not only the hardcore Trump base, they are everyone. But moreover, even when you take to the conservatives and to the swing voters that opening government want to talk about, when they watch the news, then they see the entire tweet by Donald Trump, right? Because this is portrayed in every news site, in each and every broadcast. What does this mean? This means that the only case that opening government brings us on how this is going to be portrayed is that you have a bunch of really left-wing pundits who are saying a lot of bad things over Trump, about how he was really bad when he appointed people to the Supreme Court, about he was really bad of how he treated women. A lot of stuff that you don't agree with in the first place, and that is going to convince you more than someone who talks in your language, who you are really close by, and you really think is one of you. That is just ridiculous. But moreover, note, most of the moderates that they talk about also watch Fox News. So they are also likely to get all the narratives that Trump wants them to get in the first place. Now note, most of the moderate Democrats, most of the moderate Republicans in Congress today just don't vote the way opening government want them to vote, right? All of them, like opening government say, are for the Constitution. All of them want the process to be as clean as possible, but they don't find a reason to impeach Trump because it's beneficial for them. And guess what? Most of the moderate people are going to believe them because these are the people that represent them the most. So it's just likely that they will buy into this and not think that something is wrong. Moreover, this narrative just falls down when opening government admits that the impeachment process is going to be a huge failure, right? When nobody is going to actually believe that this is the process because there will be no actual stamp that says, look, this is what President Trump did. So we just don't believe this thing at all. Moreover, note how the situation is portrayed under status quo and why Trump is likely to lose. Because here's the thing. First of all, what is the amount of evidence that we have? You don't have an actual portrayal of a conversation in which Trump says, I want quid pro quo to deny the money. The only actual accusation that we have proof for is that Trump invited President Zelensky to his White House and told him, you know what, if you interrogate Biden, then I'm going to invite you to the White House. Is this bribery? No, nobody's going to believe that in any way. But we have no actual evidence, and there will be no actual evidence, because even if it exists to some extent, but we had people listening to the conversation telling us how they don't have actual evidence to what happened. Even if someone does, they're not likely to give it away because a lot of the moderate Republicans just don't want Trump to not be elected. So the status quo is that we will not have actual proof that convicts him in something that seems bad. But moreover, note that under status quo, there are a lot of questions that are likely to throw away Trump from being elected president. Note this. On the comparative, it's really harder to twist these things around. Why? Because when you have a photo of a child crying without food on the Mexican border, then first of all, a lot of Democrats buy into this and say this is a really bad thing, I shouldn't vote for him. But moreover, even Republicans believe in human rights and believe that this is a bad thing. Secondly, if I'm a soybean seller and I just don't have money because a lot less Chinese people buy my soybeans because of the trade war, then I feel affected personally. The question is, what is the question of the election going to be about? How are people likely to decide? Are they likely to decide on the basis of corruption and how the Democrats are trying to take away what is a legitimate person? Or are they going to decide based on what they feel harm them the most? What we say is that the split second in which you need to cast your vote into a ballot box is a split second in which you decide to which kind of ballot you connect with the more emotionally. If the main question that you ask yourself about is weird corruption that you don't even buy into because you didn't see actual evidence for, then this is much worse than a situation where you buy into something which harmed you personally, and we just prefer that on the comparative. Closing your extension, please.
Yes, young liberals in America have mostly given up hope in the political system. What does this do for them?
Okay, so we actually analyze this, right? This leads me to why a lot of people are just likely to stay at home. Now here's the thing. First of all, you're just going to hear much more about the impeachment because opening government agree with this. This is how people are going to talk about daily. And when this is something that is likely to, that might, by potential, take down a government, then everybody's going to talk about it. Now, here's the thing. What lost the 2016 election? Crooked Hillary, right? The fact that a lot of people bought into this idea, the fact that there were people that believed Pizzagate and a lot of weird, ridiculous things, because Hillary was as hated as Trump is. And this is the main thing. Why was that? Because she had scandals, because she had the DNC, because she had her mails, because she had actions against Bernie. Now, all the progressives that they talk about stayed at home in this election. Why did they do this? Because they felt that all sides are corrupt. The more you talk specifically about a really complex judicial issue where most people don't really understand the specific details, they just listen to stuff that Trump says to them and they say that this is really intuitive, that this is not corruption, then they just are more likely to feel that both Trump and Biden are corrupted, that the Democrats who are defending him are corrupted. This is just much more likely to leave all of these people at home in the first place. Note again, status quo is on our side because this is what lost the 2016 election in the first place. So this is going to lead to this happening again. All of this just proves it's really bad in terms of status quo.